Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Let's continue with Master YongHua's Chanqi teaching.
你就在那儿，因为你是个白子，又走到另外一个地方啊，还是这种的水。
You were there, thought you were taking a bath. Then you walked to another place, the same type of water.
你喝了很多这种水，你说你喝的甘露水，说你如果不信，
you drank lots of that water. You said you drank the sweet dew water. The monk said, if you don't believe.
现在你自己呀，你的肚里头啊，就是那种肮脏水呀，那种又骚又臭的味，你现在试一试。
Now in your belly is that type of filthy water, that type of nasty and stinky smell. You can try now.
这个婆罗门尼，他没有说之前呢，他不知道，不晓得是肚里有这个又骚又臭这种的水，这种味道。你说了。
This Brahman, before he said this, he didn't know, didn't feel the nasty and stinky water in his belly with such flavor.
之后果然，这个又臭又骚，这个味道都攻上，结果他就吐，一吐，
Once he said it, surely, this nasty and stinky flavor came up. As a result, he vomited. Once he vomited,
吐的那个东西和那个肮脏水是一样的。从此之后啊，他知道他错了，修的法修错了。
What he vomited was the same as the filthy water. Since then, he knew he was wrong. He practiced the wrong Dharma.
为什么他会变一个长虫，会变一个蛇呢？是因为啊，他脾气很大。这个婆罗门呢，就是脾气最大。
Why would he turn into a long worm, turn into a snake? Because he had a big temper. This Brahman, had the biggest temper.
嗔恨心最大。这样的人呢，他总有一种嗔恨心。
The biggest hateful mind. When he saw people, he always had a hateful mind.
没有嗔恨心就会变蛇，人要有慈悲心就会做菩萨。所以
When people have a hateful mind, they would turn into a snake. When people have a compassionate mind, they would become a bodhisattva.
你做菩萨是变蛇，这是自己做的，自己选择的。
So, whether you become a bodhisattva or a snake, it's all on you. It's your own choice.
这个人凡是有脾气的人，就应该把脾气改了他，没有脾气，然后呢，将来堕落变成那个毒蛇。
Thus, as people, anybody with a temper should change your temper to no temper. To avoid falling, and becoming a poisonous snake in the future.
第一项呢，必须要有上知识，必须要亲近上知识。
In order to cultivate, one must have a good knowing advisor, must draw near a good knowing advisor.
Okay, any questions about the snake and the astral body or spiritual, primordial spirit, Dharma, that the externalists practice? Okay, those are, you have to be careful when you practice these meditation or Pure Land and so forth, these practices. Make sure they're not based on greed. So these practices, they meditate, they do them in order to have this astral body, which is basically nonsense. It's not something you even need to worry about. Okay, you will eventually have your own astral body eventually when you get a lot higher, you wish, but there's no need at low levels to go for it. Okay, and because at lower levels, when you have astral bodies, your practice is based on greed, and therefore you will be stuck eventually. Okay, that's so important. And this is where the Buddhists are far better than the non-Buddhists in terms of practices. Okay, when I first started, I was also enamored by these things, spiritual bodies and cheese and so forth. But in contrast, Buddhism, you practice, you meditate, you don't see anything, you don't see any results. So this is why these practices, non-Buddhist practices, really have a large following at low levels. And it doesn't help that we Sanghas, we monks and nuns, don't understand meditation or Pure Land or tantric practices enough to be able to guide our students so that they're not confused by these results. Okay, it's because the teacher have no results. That's why the students are more impressed, more inclined to be impressed by the externalist practices. Okay, so it's our fault. I remind you, monks and nuns, if you lose a Buddhist disciple or you lose a student to the externalist practices after they try our meditation, our Pure Land, is because we are not good enough. Okay, you haven't reached a good enough level to be able to teach them, to inspire confidence in the Buddhist practices. Okay, yes, 5.
From Derek, Master, is there any greed that is good greed?
Of course, there's good greed and bad greed. It's the middle way. If there's only bad greed, then it's not called middle way. Okay, bad greed are the greed that for external things, greed for yourself, greed for worldly results, to try to impress people, try to take advantage of people. Whereas good greed is the greed that we try to instill in you, the greed that will help you transcend worldly greed. Okay, so that's why when you practice the meditation, Master YongHua, one of the first few things I learned from him is that you don't try to go for fame and profit. It's a very simple rule. You meditate, you recite Buddha's name. It's not in order to gain benefits or to become famous or to get recognition. A very simple rule. Doesn't matter who you are. And that's a foundation. Okay? And if you have those, then the good greed is the greed for you to improve. Any other questions? It's not practical for us to say that we Buddhists have no greed. That's nonsense. Yeah? Only Buddhists have no greed. Below the Buddhas, we all have greed, like it or not. Okay, but what we have is good greed versus bad greed. So the middle way is to recognize which greeds are bad and which greeds are good. Yes, I don't see the number. Number 7.
지금 이 내용하고 다르고요. 제가 질문하고 싶은 거는 제가 며칠 전에 결과부자를 6시간을 했는데 그리고 계속 이틀 동안 계속 몸을 풀었습니다. 풀고 오늘 저녁 때니까 몸이 좀 풀린 것 같기도 하고 그리고 제가 저녁 때 되면 하는 게 있어요. 42수환하고 그런 거를 하기 위해서 결과부자를 1시간을 했는데 그 통증이 6시간 할 때랑 똑같은 통증이 올라왔습니다. 그래서 1시간 만에 다리를 풀기는 했는데 제가 그 순간적으로 그때 6시간 결과부자를 할 때 제일 처음에는 열이 올라오다가 그 다음엔 창백해지다가 그 다음에 이제 다시 이렇게 정상적으로 돌아왔던 게 기억이 나서 막 열이 올라오는 순간에 이거를 다리를 풀어야 될까 말아야 될까 잠시 고민을 했던 게 생각이 나고 지금도 지금 다리를 풀었기 때문에 열이 난 상태인데 이거를 제가 이제 6시간을 하면 충분히 쉬어야 된다 해서 한 이틀 정도면 쉬면 되는 줄 알고 결과부자를 했는데 이게 좀 잘못된 건가 그거를 질문드리고 싶습니다.
Master, it's a different content, but I have a question. A few days ago, I was able to sit for 6 hours in full lotus position. And I heard that I need to rest a little bit after that, so I rested for 2 days. And tonight, I felt a little bit better. So usually on evening time, I practice 42 hands and eyes. So I started to sit for an hour, and while I was reciting 42 hands and eyes. And suddenly I felt the same pain that I experienced during that 6-hour-long sit. And also during that 6-hour-long sit, I felt heat, and I became pale, and then returned to the normal state. So today, after 1 hour, because I felt the same pain during that 6 hours, I unbuckled. And then when I unbuckled, I also felt the fever, the heat, I'm sorry. And I rested for 2 days, and because I heard that I need to rest. Is that a wrong way, or do you have any suggestion for this?
Yes, it means you need to get more rest. You just probably need to rest 4 days to 7 days. 2 days are not enough for you. That's why you still experience pain and discomfort. Okay, just rest longer. There are other things you can do. Don't meditate. Don't cross your legs anymore. Do something else. Okay, bow or whatever. Okay, help out in the kitchen. Oh, you're fasting, aren't you? Okay, definitely help out in the kitchen. Okay, all right. Okay, don't rush. I don't know about you, but when I was practicing on my own, no supervision, nothing, no one at all to ask questions about, I used to push myself very hard too. I went for what the teacher, the great master YongHua said, go for long sits. That's the only instructions I know. Okay, most of my knowledge comes from long sits. Okay, so I just knew I had to go for long sits, and I would, being lazy, I would, once a week I break through. I would push. The rest of the week I take it easy. Okay? I don't know about you, but I have a life too. I mean, it's not about meditation. Come on. So, and I lucked out because no one gave me that instruction. The body takes a while to recover. I noticed it took me about, if I push as quickly as you did, you leap too quickly, you probably need 5 days to 7 days to recover. In some cases, when I went for like whole day sits and so forth, it might need like 2 or 3 weeks. Listen to your body. All you have to do is you bend over, you bend your legs a little bit, and you see that it still doesn't quite right yet. Okay, then don't push yourself. It's not worth it. Okay, it's no rush. These long sits are designed to help you understand something. It's not about the physical endurance at all. Okay, so it's a great thing you push for 6 hours. That's remarkable. I say that not many monks and nuns can do that. Okay, so that itself is a big leap already. So take it easy. Okay. Are you leaving soon? Okay, you're not. Okay, over here, number 1.
Master, this question is about astral projecting or
astral bodies. Yes.
Astral body.
Yeah. Baby. Astral babies.
Okay. Astral.
Yeah, it's this baby thing that comes out.
Yeah. Okay. I have a coworker that does this. He said he can do it at will.
Yeah.
And he said that when he does it, he meet up with some beings.
Yeah.
So that means it's possible for us to has an astral body, and then we encounter some beings.
Yeah.
So that being could be good and bad, correct?
Yes.
And what happens? You encounter a bad one. What do you do at that point?
I don't envy you. Okay. First of all, if you're able to do astral bodies, and you go and you tell someone else, your practice is based on what? Recognition. You're trying to be someone special. Okay? You can tell these people those skills are very low. Immediately, if your practice is based on greed, if you practice based on fame and profit, you won't get very far. Period. Doesn't matter what you do, whether it's Chan meditation or non-Buddhist practices, astral bodies, or moving cheese, or Jing Gong, whatever. Okay, walking on water, walking on the walls, and so forth. If you brag, and you tell people about it, your level is pretty low, so low. Okay. That is not even worthwhile. So if this guy sees and meets other beings and so forth, what kind of being would bother talking to him? Seriously. Huh? Think about it. If I were to do that, I was able to have astral bodies and meet this guy who goes around and brags at everyone I have an astral body. Why bother wasting my time talking to someone like that? So who cares? Okay? Don't be impressed by insignificant things. All right? You don't. People, yes, it's impressive, in a small way, but it's not a big deal at all. Okay? Actually, it's rather, as Master Shurangama put it, it's rather dangerous. You get into trouble, all kinds of troubles, and you have no control over. The first story the last night was somebody decided to burn your house when you're gone, when you went out to play. What are you going to do now? Huh? Is it worth it? And you become a ghost, you can go and harass people. You're lucky that ghost has a bodhisattva who has enough wisdom, who has enough power to help the ghost out. It's a very compassionate bodhisattva who did it out of compassion for the old monk and that young novice. Okay? That story there is a heartwarming story for me. It's not about astral bodies at all. I said, wow, the bodhisattvas really care. It's so beautiful. Okay? And it's funny that he chose to teach the astral body, the ghost guy, instead of teaching the old monk and the young novice. Think about it. To me, it's no discrimination whatsoever. Huh? He says, no, you non-Buddhists, I'm not going to teach you. I'm going to teach our people first. No, he says, in order to help you get out of your condition, your affliction, I'll teach you this. Okay? And he taught them. And based on that teaching, supposedly the Master Shurangama had just said that he became enlightened. Well, it's pretty low-level enlightenment in my opinion. It's probably first stage arhat or something like that. Okay? Which is not bad for a ghost. Okay? But it's so cute to me. That story is so lovely Buddhist story. Okay, don't be impressed. Of course we cannot show we're not impressed. We should show we're impressed. Okay, because these people are work hard enough to have some results, but to brag about it, it's very low. If you really have skills, you don't even want people to know the extraordinary things you can do, Okay? Why won't you meet people? What kind of people? Who cares? Who cares to meet with you? And to me, I'm not impressed by these stories. Okay? I'm sorry, I don't care for those beings who meet with him either. Okay? If it were like I met with Wanyin Bodhisattva, I said, oh, yeah, go on. But you meet with people, yeah. There are all kinds of people. Doesn't mean I'm going to give them a time of day. Okay? Yes, 5.
From Brady. But aren't astral projections, spiritual penetrations, and similar experiences helpful for strengthening and deepening our practice?
Not in Buddhism. In Buddhism, let me make it very plain for you. At low levels, it's not a good thing to do astral bodies because you'll be attached to that skill. And that skill is detrimental to your further progress. This is why we don't encourage it. It doesn't do much. Astral body, so what? Okay? I don't need an astral body to slap someone in the face. You don't need any real skills. You don't need an astral body, just beat them up. Why? You have the astral body and you can't do anything. You see? So, yes, astral bodies are beneficial for the non-Buddhist practices because their practices are predicated upon achieving these goals. Our Buddhist practices don't have such goals at all. We never have goals in Buddhist practices, as far as I know, of getting astral bodies and so forth. I will tell you that eventually, when you get up there, it's going to happen. Okay? Actually, when you ignore those things, even when you get up there, you go even a lot further. You have many more wonderful things you can do, which are a lot more powerful, a lot more useful than astral bodies. That's why we never care for astral bodies. Okay? It's like childish stuff. It's not that impressive for us. Yes, it's impressive for non-Buddhist practices. Okay? I'm telling you this because it's not in order to denigrate or degrade others' non-Buddhist practices achievements. I'm telling you this so that in the future, when it happens to you, you won't be impressed. That's very important. Don't waste time on these things. They're not that important. And all these people who have astral bodies, they do stupid things with it. Okay, so yes, it helps them believe in their practices, but on the flip side of it, they also do stupid things with it. In Buddhism, in contrast, we make sure we teach you the proper use first before you develop skills. Because once you have these skills, once you have this astral body and you go and talk to people at night, we don't know what kind of people, okay? When that's what you do, and there's nothing you can do now. Once you're able to do that, and you ask me, can you have an astral body? I say, oh, no, I can't. Then who am I to tell him anything? There's a difference. I don't have an astral body because I don't care for it. It's a waste of time. It's a stupid thing to have, to me. So why would I want one? It's not that hard, but why would you want one? It's nonsense. Okay? It's useless. To me, it's useless, totally useless. Yes, 8.
Thank you, Masters. Developing something like that, like an astral body or whatever, does it help you gain wisdom?
No, it actually doesn't help further your wisdom development at all. This is why we discourage people from trying to go for it. It's a cool thing for you, to sit there and then all of a sudden you can go and see places and do things and talk to strange people. It's kind of cool for you. But for us, it's a waste of time. It's not the end goal for us at all. Okay? And it's an entrapment. Once you're able to do that, you waste time. You think it's such a cool thing, you keep on doing it. Even Master Shurangama, speaker in spiritual penetration, as Brady asked for it. It's not really for us a spiritual penetration. Okay? There are 6 spiritual penetrations that are important in Buddhism that we approve. Okay? Astral body is not one of them. Okay? And because again, to us it's useless. Okay? But the spiritual penetration for us is, for example, is to be able to have the heavenly eye, so that you can see the heavens, you can see the hells, and so forth. Okay, That's a good spiritual penetration. Because why? Because it helps you develop your wisdom. You can have the heavenly ear, which can hear things in heavens. Sitting here, you can hear things, okay? And your music composer is very helpful, by the way, okay? To copy music from the heavens, you'll be very famous, and we make a lot of money, okay? Highly recommended for those of you, okay? So heavenly ear, so it's called spiritual penetration because it helps you develop your wisdom, okay? Because sometimes you hear things from the ghosts talking to each other, and you say, that's why there's a wisdom behind these things, and so forth. You also have something called what else are there? Spiritual penetration. The old monk knows more about these things than I do, because I have none. I even have no interest in spiritual penetration. After all these years, I have no interest whatsoever. Because if somehow Brady hears that I have the heavenly eye and heavenly ear, he's going to come to me and ask me, Master, I'm your devoted disciples. Tell me what's going on in the heavens. What am I going to tell him now? And not only Brady, but then all these Koreans will come and ask me too. So what other spiritual penetration can you have? You remember?
Thầy, có nhiều người họ có thể họ nghe ở xa, hoặc là họ nghe những cõi trời này nọ, nhưng mà theo con biết như Hòa Thượng Tuyên Hóa có mấy người đệ tử trẻ đó có thần thông đi lên cõi trời được, đi lên cõi thiên ma chơi, bị bắt.
Yeah.
Đi về không được, họ không cho về.
Okay, so he said, go ahead, translation. Look at that, how well she runs
Master,
now. Wow.
So
balance.
I know that I heard that people can hear very far. They can hear up to the heaven. And then I read a story that Master YongHua has a young disciple that he can travel to the heaven to visit the heaven of the heavenly demon, and then he was captured up there.
Yeah, that's called 神足通, the spiritual foot. You can travel, yes, and that's a form of astral body as well. You see, again, when you use astral bodies, shucks, you can get in trouble. Okay, so it's a 神足通 where you disappear here and you appear at McDonald's down the street. Okay, so it's pretty convenient. When you're hungry, you say, "Can I have a Big Mac, please?" Okay, so that to me is useful. Okay, so 神足通. Okay. That's number 3. There's also 3 more. There is the knowledge of past lives. Okay, that's pretty good because then you understand what brought you here, why we are connected together. Okay, for example, the monks and nuns, Master YongHua disciples, they have that. Quite a few of them have that. So when you go and apply to become a member of the Sangha, they look at you and say, "Oh, you bad boy, we don't want you." So it's pretty useful. But to me, it's invasion of privacy, okay? Who gave you permission to look at my past? Have you thought about it? Who gave you permission? In my application, you say, "I'm going to look in your past," and you approved. Okay, as the requirement for the application, you do that. Make sure in the application you specify so. Okay, when you don't say that, you're not supposed to look at people's past. None of your business. The past is their past. What is in your past stays in your past. Okay? And the one thing that they really also that, hey, Master Shea disciples want to speak up. Number 2.
Nói về mà thần thông á, thầy nói là ngoại đạo á, thầy nó thích cái thần thông. Trong đạo Phật mình á, là thiền đó là không có thần thông, giống bên ở Trung Quốc vậy đó, mấy người mà thiền rồi để cái nhục thân lợi đó, rồi sao mà cũng mình thấy có sau này đó mình ở Trung Quốc á, bây giờ nó người ta đi thiền á, thiền người ta để cái nhục thân lợi rất là nhiều. Bây giờ người ta trong những cái hang đồ đó người ta đi tìm đó, bây giờ được mấy chục vị luôn đó. Rồi sao mà bây giờ mình thấy ở đây thiền là thấy là có thần thông đồ không à, lấy biểu diễn á. Mà cái đó mình cũng không biết, cái đó là hai cái mà không biết cái nào bên nào phải đấy, bên nào đúng. Mô Phật.
Master, I saw that the externalists, they really love spiritual power. But in Buddhism, I saw that when people meditate, they don't really have spiritual power. And then I saw in China, people meditate, and then after they die, the body didn't decay, so they left their body behind. And then lately, they discovered that there are several dozen of body that left behind didn't decay. So, but also at the same time nowadays, I saw that a lot of people meditate and then they show off their spiritual power. So I don't really know which one is right, which one is wrong.
In general, when you practice chant, you develop spiritual powers very quickly. There's a reason for that, but I'm not telling you. Okay? Because that costs money. You can make a lot of money. Okay? Chant is you can develop spiritual powers very, very quickly. Okay? And so for some reason, the Chinese didn't explain that. I remember some times ago, okay, years ago, the second patriarch came. So I said, how come I don't have any spiritual penetrations? See, I'm very blunt. I don't say, hi, how are you? Would you like a cup of tea? No, I say, how come I have any spiritual penetration? See, I take them for granted, and they've been watching. So I said, how come I have spiritual penetration? He said, oh, hello? Can we say hello? Can't you say hello at least first? No. So he says, it's going to happen naturally. I was so disappointed because it's a trick question. I'm not asking for whether it's going to happen or not. I know it's going to happen naturally. Okay? It's granted. When you meditate, you're going to have spiritual penetrations. For sure. Okay? You have one of those 6 things. We finish those 6 later. But it's a trick question. I said, I don't have it now. Explain to me why not. He didn't get it. So he said, it's going to happen naturally. It happened naturally. So I said, after that, I don't ask him any more questions. So these spiritual penetrations are it's not like the way that disciple Master Shurangama says. It's very fast. Okay, and that's why when you meditate at your levels, you can open your eyes too. Well, I don't encourage you to do that even. You should have, I hope you have zero interest in doing that, because that happened to Master Shurangama disciples. They meditated and they open their eyes and they can see things. So Master Shurangama scolded them. He said, some of my disciples, they can see things, so that's what they do. All day they watch TV. I heard that and I said, oh, I don't want any eyes thing. I just want to be blind. So that's why I can't see anything. You ask me, are there bodhisattvas there? I think so. Okay? So, Master Shurangama, what I'm sharing with you is what I learned secondhand from stories from Master Shurangama. Look at all these spiritual penetration, astral bodies, eyes and ears. All these people get in trouble. Okay? Or they look at my disciples who went over them and they said, no, we don't like you. You are not a good person. They're not good people. That's why they come to the temple. What do you think? If they're good people, what are they doing in the temples? Huh? You're wasting your time. Go do good things out there. Okay? So, all these things, if you don't have wisdom, they will lead you astray. You get enamored too quickly, and you're going to go astray. That's why, yuck. Yes, one.
Master, I'm afraid of getting pretty good and seeing my past life, seeing what I used to be. So is there some way to stop me from seeing past life if I get that good?
You'll never be that good, let me assure you. Okay? Don't worry about it. Okay, another spiritual penetration. You see, this annoys the heck out of me. Like the Buddha's disciples. These arhats, the great arhats, saw a man, old man who wanted to lead the home life. You heard that story, right? Many of you heard that story from Master Shurangama. Okay? So the old man asked to lead the home life. He says, I'm old and I have no attachments. It's a good time for me to shave my head. Hint, hint. Anyone? Huh? And so the Buddha's disciples with their great arhats use their knowledge past lives, look at them and say, for 80,000 great kalpas, you haven't produced any merit with the triple jewel. You have no blessings. You can't cultivate. So they kick them out. And then, turns out it's right. So the Buddha saved the guy. And he says, beyond 84,000 great kalpas, long before that, he did recite the Buddha's name once. Okay, and that's enough for him to lead the home life. Okay, so you see, my point is that if you develop spiritual penetrations too soon, your range is very limited, and there's a danger of you getting attached to it. So that's why it's best not to have any spiritual penetrations. Okay, in my opinion, I want to continue to improve. And just think about it. If I'm able to do disappear here, appear in New York. Okay. Wouldn't that be nice? Here, appear here, I go down here and appear in Seoul. Have some kimchi for lunch, and come back. It's so cool. Why wouldn't you do that? Yes? I would. The reason it's stopping me is that the airplane ticket is so expensive. I can't afford to do that. Okay? But if I could, I would. Seoul days Seoul. Not Russia, but, Paris. You see what I mean? What's the point in having it and not using it? Yes? And not only that, so you waste time doing these things instead of working in yourself, purifying yourself, developing your wisdom. Then not only that, Go Yin, that spy number 1 there, she hears you have spiritual penetration. She'll bug you to death. Okay? She said, I'm worried about my beloved sister in Vietnam. Will you go take a look for me? I'm devoted to you for the last 15 years. So the more you have, the more you have to do. So that's why my attitude is that too much work. For what? Yes.
Thưa Thầy là cái kinh đầu tiên con coi trong học Phật Pháp á, là kinh Lăng Nghiêm. Chỗ này Đức Phật có nói rất rõ là không được sử dụng thần thông. Chỉ trừ khi mình chết, mình để là cái bí mật, một cái di chúc chẳng hạn, để là một ngón tay không trái hoặc là một cái răng, cho đời sau biết là mình tu trúng chánh pháp như vậy thôi, không được nói. Và thứ hai nữa là Đức Phật có nói là nếu mình nói ra, mình khoe khoang đó, thì những cái tầng trời khác đó, người ta sẽ giúp cho mình có giỏi hơn nữa. Rồi thời gian là phạm giới, rồi thầy trò đều là tù tội, rồi bị đọa hết. Là không có sử dụng. Cô nhẫn dịch.
So, Master, when I first learned Buddhism, the first sutra that I learned is the Shurangama Sutra. And in that sutra, the Buddha say that you are not allowed to use spiritual power. You can only manifest it after you died. For example, you left behind the finger that cannot be burned, or you left behind your teeth or something like that, to prove to people that you've been practicing in a proper way. And then you are not allowed to talk or to brag about it, because once the heavenly being knew about it, they will help you, and then you continue, and then you may break the precept, and then you will drag yourself and your student down to the lower realm.
Dạ, thứ hai là cái người đệ tử được quyền nói với thầy của mình để báo cáo, hoặc là nói với một người bạn thân để chia sẻ, để mình tu thôi, chứ không có được khoe khoang. Nhất là nói là thì báo cáo là với vị thiện tri thức của mình là con thấy như vậy, là con bị như vậy. Và người tri thức người ta quyết định như thế nào với dạy mình.
So the second thing is the disciple are allowed to report to the teacher or to share with the close cultivator, so they can share with the good knowing, the advisor, the teachers, and say that, okay, I've been through this and such, so that the teacher can give them further instruction.
Thì một cái thí dụ khác là Đức Phật, giống như thầy nói đó, Đức Phật rất là coi thường thần thông. Thì một bữa Đức Phật đi qua tới bờ sông, thì mọi người đều chờ đò. Thì một ông ngoại đạo, ông lật cái nón xuống, lên, ông đi qua mặt nước, ông đi ra te qua trước. Trong khi đó Đức Phật với đệ tử nó còn bên này. Nhưng mà ông đi rồi, ông không đi luôn, ông qua bến đò bên kia, ông đứng ông chờ. Khi Đức Phật qua sau rồi, đi qua đò sau rồi, thì ông đứng, ông nghinh lên, ông hỏi, ông thấy tôi không? Tôi giỏi hơn ông không? Rồi Đức Phật mới hỏi, ông giỏi quá, ông tu như vậy, cái thần thông ông qua sông như vậy, ông tập mấy năm? Tôi tập 4-5 năm đó. Đức Phật nói, chi 4-5 năm, tôi chỉ cần tốn 50 xu, tôi qua đò, ông tập tới chưa tới 5-6 năm như vậy. Tôi tốn có 50 xu rồi tôi qua đò đó.
And then there's another example that showed the Buddha didn't really care about spiritual power. So one time, the Buddha and his disciple need to cross over the river. So everybody was waiting for the boat to take them across. And then there was an externalist. He showed off his power. He used the hat he wear, and then he hop on it, and then using the hat to cross over the river. And he when he arrived to another shore, he stayed there and waited for the Buddha and the disciple arrive. And I say, see, like how cool I am. I can do things, such a cool thing. And then the Buddha asked, wow, how long does it take you to develop that skill? And then he said that it took me probably 4 or 5 years to have that skill. And the Buddha said, you know what? It's only cost me 50 cents in order to cross over the river.
Okay, very good. However, there's also, it's not the way that the scriptures say, and because and there's also exceptions where sometimes patriarchs don't exactly follow the Buddha's instructions for a reason. Okay, so it's not as rigid as it sounds. Even though it's in the scriptures, doesn't mean it's like that. Case in point, Buddha says part of our lifestyle is that monks cannot cook for themselves. And the Chinese patriarchs decided that we should cook for ourselves as an expedient in order to cultivate in the Chan temples. So Chan temples are the first places where we cook for ourselves. Until then, the monks and nuns have to go on arms, boats, rounds, and that's a lot of time. You have to walk slowly, majestically, so that people are impressed. They give you food, and you walk back. You wash your feet. You share food with other older monks who can't go, and so forth. And so it's a lot of time. It's a lot of wasted time. Okay. So the Chinese Chan patriarchs decided, we're not going to do that. We're going to stay in the temple. We're going to violate the Buddha's instructions, not to cook for ourselves. We will cook for ourselves. Okay, so it's not as cut and dry as you think. Okay, what you ought to do is follow, the standards of the patriarchs. That's a lot more useful. So Master YongHua, he exhibited spiritual penetrations left and right, okay? Because he chose to do that, whatever his reasons were, okay? And that's shortened his life quite a bit. Yes, 5.
From Diego, Master, yesterday you said Venerable Master YongHua could see your past, present, and future just by looking at you. Does it mean that we call fate, destiny really doesn't exist, and our lives are just a product of our karmic retributions? Does it mean that we cultivate not because we want to cultivate, but rather we cultivate because we have to cultivate due to karmic retributions? And if so, how can we break that cycle and escape from having a life ruled by karmic retributions, and instead living as free beings that can decide our own fate? Emitofuo, Master.
I don't know how to answer that. It's too complicated of a question. I don't have time to analyze this for you. I have no interest. My world is very simple, okay? I don't want to know too much, whether it's past lives or future lives or present lives, for that matter. There's wonders of discovery to me. It's more fun to discover things, unexpected things. That's more interesting. And so my approach is very simple. I don't worry about it. I focus on one thing: improve, become a Buddha, go to the Pure Land, become enlightened, and so forth. Those are very simple goals. Okay, as you follow the goals, whatever the reasons are, you will have some problems, and you learn how to solve these problems. Whether it's from past lives, from current lives, or future lives, who cares? Okay, if you know it's from your past lives, does it help you solve the problem? Maybe, maybe not. Okay? Here's a problem with all these skills. they have limited range. So what happened to, for example, Master Shenghua's disciples, I see it personally, firsthand. These people have spiritual penetration, they're enlightened, they have spiritual penetration. But let me tell you, theirs is so limited. What they see is this much, where actually the whole picture is this big. They only see this much. And say, whoa, they jump on that. And this is the disadvantages of spiritual penetrations. At low levels, like theirs or yours, what you see is just a tiny part of the picture. You should not dwell on that. You should not let that decide your moves. Okay? This is not enough for you to understand how to solve the problem. Yes, it's fun to say, because in a prior life, what happened to my concubine? Huh? Oh, long sits. Oh, thank you very much. In a prior life, you're my concubine. But what about the life before that? That's what I'm worried about. You see, you jump on the little things you know. And there's a saying in the U.S. Small knowledge is extremely dangerous. I've seen it time and time again. You don't have the big picture, and you make your decisions based on this small knowledge. You die because of that. Okay, so why worry about it? Okay. Yes, one.
Master, so you're saying if you meditate long enough, you can develop this astral body experience where you think you're going to a different country, but you're really sitting in full lotus, or do you really disappear and reappear in a different country?
It's two different skills. The astral body is different from the spiritual foot, where you actually travel at will.
Teleporting, or?
Yeah. You don't need any port even. Okay. And the lower range, they're limited in range again. When you get higher up there, the range is a lot farther.
And do the people that do that, it probably exhausts their blessings?
Well, let's talk about it. If you want to go to Paris, how much it costs you? Okay, airplane ticket. And that's your blessings right there. Somewhere has got to come from somewhere. And then let's not forget about the fact you'll be shopping in Paris as well. How can you not shop in Paris? Champs-Élysées? Huh? And then stop for bouillabaisse in Provence. Oh my God, there's so many things you can do in Paris. I'm not going to stop by Paris alone. It doesn't take long, you see. You stop for lunch first. And you fly to Côte d'Azur, let the lunch digest, and get a tan at the same time. I mean, look, your life will be so busy. Don't you think? I mean, you want to maximize your time. You see, there's a catch. There's some advantages, but some real disadvantages. You're so busy. I see people, for example, rushing from one thing to the next, and next, and next. Oh, I got to go take care of my family, go take care of my job, take care of, and this and so. And so the time is so regulated, okay? Just imagine, just from driving alone. But now you have the spiritual foot. See, your life will be uncontrollable. It's not as what you guys, when you don't have it, oh, it's so impressive. But when I said, but I have it, I said, I would not be here sitting and talk to you. I'm too busy. Yes, Kong.
So what happened after that externalist ghost attained first stage Arianship? He just stayed there and live as a first Arian ghost?
I guess so. He's still a ghost.
He could attain reborn? No? Oh, I see. Thank you, Master.
This woman is interested in ghosts. Ghosts can get to first stage arhats too, apparently. All right, any other questions? Okay, so we talked about spiritual penetrations, right? We talked about spiritual foot, talking about what else? Knowledge of past lives, okay? Knowledge of thoughts, people's thoughts. To me, it's really, really invasion of privacy. I would, if any of you can read my thoughts, please leave. Okay, I'm very keen about my own privacy. Who would want to be with you? Let me ask you, huh? If your neighbor, the one that sits next to you, can read your thoughts, there's no more privacy. What if your wife can read your thoughts? I divorce her. Seriously. It's grounds for divorce to me personally. And men have our secrets, okay? Just think about it. And so I used to be able to read thoughts when I first started at Long Beach Monastery. And I was stupid enough to brag about it. I said, I know what you're thinking. And you know what? They all disappeared. Monks and nuns, they all disappear. And they believe it, you know. So Bodhisattva came and looked at me and said, what am I thinking right now? I said, oh. Okay? So it's not a good thing to have to me, okay? Definitely no privacy. And for us, people of the modern times, privacy is very important to us, okay? Yes, 5.
From Jason K. What is the difference from the 5 eyes and the spiritual eye?
Well, spiritual eyes here refers to the heavenly eye. The 5 eyes has much more detail. You know, there's more spiritual penetrations, more special eyes you can have, okay? They're kind of cool, kind of very special, okay? They're quite different. And finally, there is exhaustion outflows, which is the final and the 6th spiritual penetration, where you have no more affliction, no more greed, no more anger, no more stupidity. Okay, that is highly recommended. Okay, if you want to have a spiritual penetration, I would go for it, not the other 5. Yes, 2.
Mô Phật bạch thầy, cái thần thông á, với cái thần thông với một cái giống Quan Thế Âm Bồ Tát nó biến biết bao nhiêu cái thân ra đó, là 2 cái có giống không thầy?
Master, between the spiritual power versus like the ability, for example, Kuan Yin can transform into different type of body. Do they are the same? Look the same?
And that's one Yin Bodhisattva's different state. We're not talking about that state. She's a Buddha. is a Buddha state. Buddhas have 10,000 spiritual penetrations, not just 6. We're so happy with one. The Buddha has 10,000, like 84,000, maybe 1 million. Okay? So it's a different world.
Mô Phật trong ngày Hòa Thượng Tiên Hóa đó, ở dạng Phật Thành đó, thì ông ngồi trên điện á, thì ông ngồi trên điện á, ông thuyết pháp, mà ông ngồi thuyết pháp ở trên điện mà ông đi ra tới nhà bếp ngoài sau lần, là cái đó là cái đó kêu bằng phân thân, kêu bằng cái giống Quan Thế Âm Bồ Tát biến cái thân ra gì đó, là cái đó mình cũng không biết nữa, cái đó mình cũng không có hiểu cái chỗ đó nữa, là cái đó cái thần thông hoặc là cái phân thân. Mô Phật.
Master, like for example, Master YongHua, he was at CTTP. He was in the Buddha hall to speak Dharma, and then suddenly he appeared in the Buddha in the kitchen. So like he can he can divide his body into different bodies, similar to Kuan Yin. Is it like a form of spiritual power?
Yes, it is, but I'm not going to go into it. Okay? Because the more I tell you, the more you ask. Forget it. Okay? Yes, it is more than the 6 spiritual penetrations. Yes, one.
Thank you, Master. Can any of the 6 spiritual penetrations help you achieve any of the 3 types of enlightenment any faster?
No. Number 6, the end of affliction outflows is like the spiritual penetration of 4th stage Arhat. So you have that automatically. When you reach 4th stage Arhat, you can have that. Okay? But at all levels, you can have spiritual eye, you can have spiritual foot, and so forth. But again, different levels have more different ranges, different levels of powers. And that's why, it's similar to the point made earlier, is someone has an astral body and goes to talk to those people, that's low-level astral body. That's why he feels he has to brag about it. The high-level people would not ever tell you. Okay? Yeah. Yes, 5.
From San Jose Daniel, briefly, what does the spiritual penetration of no outflows mean?
Meaning you have no more greed, you have no more anger, you have no more stupidity, you have wisdom. Anyone else? Okay. All right, let's continue.
If you don't have a good knowing advisor and practice blindly by yourself, then you would take 1 step forward and 2 steps backward. You would be confused and not know what you're doing now in this country.
人人应该要明白真正佛法。
The Buddha Dharma came and is greatly striving. Everybody should understand the true Buddha Dharma.
人人明白佛法，知道怎么样修行，再就不会盲修瞎练，不会而不认识真理。
Everybody would understand the Buddha Dharma, know how to cultivate, won't blindly practice anymore, not recognizing the true principles.
我们讲，你们这些人都是佛教的基本人才。个人呢，内定一个志愿。
Didn't I say, you are all Buddhism's fundamental talent? Everybody should establish an aspiration.
抱着你自己志愿这个目标，这个目的去做去。
And hold on to your own aspiration as a goal, and do it with a purpose.
将来啊，我帮助佛教，救度一切众生，让一切众生得离苦得乐。
So, in the future, you can help Buddhism to cross over all living beings. Let all living beings leave suffering and attain bliss.
Stop. Okay. Well, that's finished. I think he finished something here. And go finish this slide here, please.
"返往还原，得到自己本有的这个智慧。大家可以一起成佛。
Return to the origin and revert to the source and obtain one's original wisdom. Then we can all become Buddhas together."
Okay, this section is pretty important. So this is the crux. This is the core of the Chan school. Okay, so that's why it's worth repeating. He started by saying that in slide 18. He says, in order to cultivate, you must have a good knowing advisor. Must here is emphasized. Must draw near a good knowing advisor. See, Master Shurangama's teaching is very, very precise. Okay? Cultivation here refers to whether you do Chan, whether you do Pure Land, whether you do Tantric, whether you do Vinaya, whether you do, teachings and so forth. That's cultivation. You must draw, you must have a good knowing advisor. GKA, good knowing advisor. Must draw near a good knowing advisor. Okay? And this is what differentiates Mahayana from all the other practices, in particular Hinayana practices or non-Buddhist practices. Hinayana, you can tell a person who practices Hinayana, okay, now Hinayana mindset is what do they do? Again? They meditate. They go to a valley, they go to the mountain, isolate themselves and meditate. Okay? What do? We look for good no advisor and we draw near good no advisor. So for example, this monk here, 3-4 years ago, he keeps on telling me his aspiration is find a place here. He found a place with his beloved supporter, disciple. You know, they drive up to like half an hour from here up to the mountain, and there's a small property there near the river, and it's very quiet and it's very isolated. And he says, I would like to own a place like this. Would be my aspiration. Okay. I didn't say anything, okay, because it's so quiet there compared to Lu Mountain Temple, where some undesirable elements are there, stirring up things, okay? You go there and you're so serene, you're so, isolated from troublemakers. And that's Hinayana thinking. I used to think like that too myself. I thought, originally I thought, I don't care. I couldn't find a good no advisor, so why should I draw near any of these losers? And so what did I do? I said, well, I would meditate all day and all night. So that's what I thought, this is what a lot of Vietnamese monks and nuns do, a lot of Chinese monks and nuns do, Taiwanese monks and nuns do. They said, since I don't have a real good no advisor, I would take the Dharma as my teacher, like the Buddha said, so I would meditate. That's what I'm going to do. Okay? Hinayana. Okay? I speak from my own personal experience. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. Don't you dare. This is a very important distinction. Okay? Mahayana, what do we do again? Look for a good no advisor. Number 2, draw near a good no advisor. Just because you look for one doesn't mean it's over. You have to draw near a good no advisor. You don't go to the mountain, you don't go to the forest and meditate by yourself. That's a big no-no. It's not Mahayana. You don't sit in your home and meditate by yourself. That's not Mahayana. You'll be dead. You go astray. Because he says, you don't have a good no advisor, practice blindly by yourself because you don't know which way to go. Okay, you take 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That's what happens to you. And this is the most common mistakes of many of you who are very sincere cultivators, including Sunims, including monks and nuns. You say, I'm going to go to that place and meditate and do a chant, do son, do chant, do whatever, okay, for a week, for 2 weeks, for 10 weeks, for 11 weeks, for, 3 months, 9 weeks, 9 months, and so forth. There are plenty of people who do that. I met so many Chinese monks who would go to China. They used to go to China to these famous chant places. And they said, this has been around for 2,000 years. So I go there and practice 8 months after the year, and then I come back to the U.S., okay? And my supporters would would support me doing that because they think it's a good thing to do. That's how you become enlightened, okay? No, it is called practicing blindly because you have no good knowing advisor. So ask yourself, who is your good knowing advisor? Does he allow you to draw near him or not? Just because you say, I believe Master Shurangama. Yes. Does he allow you to draw near him? No. He's dead already. He says, don't come near me. Basically, he says, don't look for me, don't come near me. Is that clear? It is wrong to say, I'm disciple of Master Shurangama. It is so wrong because you cannot draw near him. Draw near means physical proximity. It's not, I believe. I have the Dharma here, I have the tapes here, I have the books here, I have the photo here. No, it's draw near. That's Mahayana. I need to stress that. This is so important. Let the Chinese lose it already. The Koreans don't have it. The Vietnamese don't have it. Okay? The Japanese don't have it. The Chinese used to have it, and they lost it already. They don't look for a good no advisor anymore. They look for a big temple. They look for a famous monk. What's a good no advisor? Someone who has wisdom, someone who has entered birth and death already, who is enlightened. And there are different kinds, there come different varieties, but they have wisdom. That's the kind of people who want to follow, you want to depend on. You don't want to depend on yourself. It would be a disaster. You keep on sitting, I meditate, I do great compassion, repentance, I do morning ceremony, I do recite mantras, I do and so forth. You have to draw near a good known advisor. Is it clear? There's a trend right now, people out there and say, my good known advisor is Master Shurangama. I say, no, he's not your good known advisor, he's dead already. He has no business being your good known advisor. Are you kidding me? If he wants to be a good known advisor, he wouldn't die, would he? Because a good known advisor is supposed to let you get close to them. The fact he's dead with no body, meaning he doesn't allow you to get close to him anymore. So he's not your good known advisor. So look at the spy, for example. Her teacher, her good known advisor is Master Shurangama. Does he allow her to draw near him nowadays? No. See? That's why she's practices blindly by herself. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Meaning without good no advisor, you lose rounds. You think you're making progress, you're not. That's how dangerous it is. In Mahayana, this is our distinctive, this is our unique characteristic. We draw near a good no advisor. Yes, 5. Did you have a question?
From Jason K. In the Shurangama Sutra, it describes the Buddha's disciple, how they became enlightened. Each of them used only one organ contemplation, one Dharma door to become enlightened. How do we know which Dharma door is the correct one to practice?
You don't. You can't. That's why you practice blindly by yourself. All right. Any other questions? Yes, Daniel. KKL.
I have a question. So, if you in Buddhism, you cannot progress without a good knowing advisor. Well, actually, that's not the question. The question will be, can you make progress without a good knowing advisor?
Yes, you can, but it's virtually impossible. Okay, it's not a Mahayana practice. Mahayana practice, okay, this is quintessential Mahayana practice. You find a good no advisor, you stick with a good no advisor. That's Mahayana, okay? The Chinese transfer that to the US already, okay? This is what we do here in the US. When the Chinese lost it, they don't do it anymore, okay? Now they look for, I don't know what they're looking for. They look for big temples. They're looking for famous monks and so forth. Okay? Meaning what? Meaning that if you want to look for a good no advisor, you have to come to the US. It's not in China. It's not in Vietnam. It's not in Korea. Okay? Because Master YongHua made a declaration. I brought my good no advisors from China to the US. I trained them, and they're good enough so that I left. I can leave now. And leave me alone. Don't call me your good no advisor. When are you going to learn? Huh? I'm gone. Stop bothering me. The teaching is you look for good no advisor. Don't keep on harassing me. Look for one. I taught you, didn't I? Losers. Yes, 9.
Just excuse my question, but just very curious. So, how do your followers know that this is the correct Dharma? And the second question, are you considered like a good knowing advisor?
Definitely not. Why would I want to be a good no advisor? What for? What's in it for me?
Maybe you get more blessings and to go to the Pure Land?
I need blessings to go to the Pure Land. I help you go to the Pure Land. I need blessings to go to the Pure Land. Say what? I help your mother go to the Pure Land, but I need blessing to go to the Pure Land myself. Listen to yourself, Catholic. JMT. Okay, can't hear you. Turn on the unmute yourself.
3명.
Yeah, now go ahead.
삼명육통은 온해서 얻어지는 것입니까? 아니면은 온하지 않아도 이렇게 수행 단계에 따라서 저절로 주어지는지 그것이 궁금합니다. 그리고 삼명육통은 선정의 힘과 관계가 있는지도 궁금합니다. 삼명육통. 그냥 육통이라고 하기도 하고 삼명육통이라고도 하기도 합니다. 6가지 신통력, 육통.
Master, I have a question about the sixth spiritual penetration. Even if you don't want it, this penetration comes in, this power comes in. Can I still get the powers even if I don't want it? And
Yes.
it depends on cultivation level?
Yes, you can.
It depends on samadhi power?
Oh, no. You can have spiritual penetration whether you like it or not. But it's best not to have them. They're annoying. Yeah. Because you can hear, you can read Min's mind. Oh God. You say, what is he doing here? You see, it would be horrible. You can't look at Min the same way anymore. You see? And that's the drawbacks. You guys are so enamored of all these things, but there's so many drawbacks of these things. Yeah. All right. Yes, go ahead, Mountain.
육통을 원하지 않으면 이렇게 주어진 것을 이렇게 다시 되돌릴 수도 있는 거예요?
If one doesn't like the spiritual power, can that person return that spiritual power?
No, you don't like it. You just don't use it. That's all. You know, I teach you one way. For example, you're able to read people's minds, right? Let's say you can. Let's say, does that interest you? You can read Xin An's mind. How's that? Would that interest you? No, okay. I would. I would love to know what's going on in her mind. You can write a whole novel about it. So let's say you can read people's mind, right? But you can selectively say, no, not her, not her, not her. Yeah, that one. So yeah, you can selectively choose to do that, okay? And so comes with that power comes the choice, okay? You can say, Whereas you don't want to read, Yipche's mind, you can try so hard, but you can't break through, so you stop yourself. Okay? So don't worry, it happens naturally. All I'm trying to tell you is it has a lot of complications. It's not simple as you think, and it's in my view, it's best not to have it. Okay, let it happen naturally. If it happens, it happens. But don't wish for it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not necessary to wish for it. The spiritual penetration will happen naturally when you need them. If you don't need them, don't have them. Okay? Yes, 5.
4 questions.
4. Now go back to 4 spiritual penetrations.
From Chris L. Master, does a good knowing advisor need to be someone who already ends birth and death?
Yes. Number 2.
From San Jose Daniel, Master, I feel blessed and I humbly think I don't have this problem. But if you don't have a good knowing advisor, what do you do until you find one?
Look for one. 3.
From Canon Dole, how do I know when I meet a good knowing advisor?
You won't. Number 4.
From Derek Chen, Master, how can I prevent someone from reading my mind?
I'm not telling you. Anything else? If your samadhi level is higher, they cannot break through. A general rule of thumb. That's why you're afraid that people read your mind, your filthy mind, improve very quickly. Get out of their range. There's nothing they can do. Okay? All right. So, yes, Malcolm.
Master, if Hinayana is more about like meditating for yourself so you can get enlightened by yourself, and then Mahayana is more about helping others. So let's say if you help others teach people Chan meditation, then they can't improve without a good known advisor. So not everybody has that opportunity, like outside of the state, different areas, to be here in person at the Buddhist temple. So then there's the dilemma. If you want to help everybody out, they can't come here.
Yeah. So shave your head.
That's all I had.
Lost interest. He lost interest in discussing this. Instead of, complaining or why aren't you doing it, do it yourself. That's my answer. Okay? Stop blaming the world. Stop blaming others. You want something to happen? Do it yourself. I just had lunch today with a friend of mine. He keeps on complaining about, government do some, complaining about, about the Democrats, Sacramento, and all those things. And then I listen. Of course, I tune out way years ago, okay? Eventually, never said anything, and then he stood up, finished our sandwiches, and stood up and said, I should stop complaining. I said, yeah, you're right. Do something about it.
No, I meant like if I teach people Chan and then they can't get better if they can't come here,
Well, it's better than nothing.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, so this is important. Should we stop now or continue? If we say all these important things, we have nothing left to tell you. Then we have to cut this Chanchi short. Hell no. Conk, go ahead.
Why do we have to draw near to good knowing advisors physically?
So that we leave the dead ones alone. Didn't I make it clear? The Chinese, they're crazy. They say, my teacher is the sixth patriarch. I say what? Because I follow his teaching. Say what? That's not a good no advisor. Okay? That's the secret of the Chinese Chan, the Chinese teaching. Just to find a good no advisor is not enough. You have to be able to draw near the good no advisor. Meaning what? You have to do something to make it happen. He's not going to say, come here, I will teach you. Come. That's be happy, big temple together, and propagate the Dharma. Okay? What are you doing to draw near a good known advisor? Speaks volumes about you. Okay? So I want to stress to you that there's a difference between Hinayana and Mahayana is this very, very thing. Mahayana, the essence of Mahayana is to look for a good no advisor. Hinayana, they meditate. Be careful. If you're like that, you're Hinayana mindset. I don't care who you are, layperson or monk, okay? If you say, I'm going to sit and meditate, okay? Hinayana. Okay? Meaning there's not much hope for you. This is a Chinese secret. Okay? And I don't know why the Chinese don't do that anymore. You see? So you yourself need to look for a good no advisor. You yourself must draw near a good no advisor. What does it mean? The good no advisor must let you draw near him. It may not happen. It's not guaranteed. Just because you know Master YongHua is a great teacher doesn't mean he allows you to draw near him right now. See that? Therein lies the Mahayana training right there. You think you're so special that the good no advisor will let you draw near him or her? Think again. Go meditate on your own. What do you care? What do we care? Huh? What did you do? What have you done to deserve to draw near the good no advisor? The Chinese nowadays, the young Chinese nowadays say, oh, I'm an important person in society, I have my achievement. I come to the temple. Boy, you must be honored. I'm here at your temple. Aren't you? You feel honored, don't you? See? That's what the Westerners' mindset is. Now the Chinese are becoming American. And Americans are becoming wimps. Okay? It's right there. What did you do to deserve to stay in orbit? You draw near, meaning you keep on drawing near, and you keep on drawing near, and you get pushed back, and you keep drawing near, and you get pushed back, and near, you push back. It's an earned thing. Okay? That's Chinese wisdom, Mahayana wisdom right there. Because you may be accomplished, you may be successful, may be smart, may be very powerful, but it doesn't mean that the good no advisor would want you. Okay? It's about time we Westerners understand this process and don't take it for granted. The Chinese, they don't get it anymore. The Chinese are thinking like us. I speak from personal experience. I came to Master YongHua, I said, I think you're my good advisor. Guess what? Never let me draw near him. Not good enough. Okay? Yes, 5.
From Jason K. Master Hua told a story about a monk who recited the Buddha's name for 90 days without laying down or sleeping. At the end, he fell into a demonic state. How can you prevent falling into a demonic state while practicing?
Yeah, that monk was practicing in Hong Kong in one of my Master YongHua's way places. He loaned him a room where he can hang a rope in the middle of the ceiling, and he would do a walking Buddha recitation for 90 days. Okay? I think Chung Yin was trying to do that, and Xian Che is doing that for a week or something. And you were very successful, I heard. So he did it for 90 days. If you do it for 90 days, you certified to first stage Arhat. Okay, so that monk was doing it, and actually he's a pretty famous monk in Hong Kong, and he was able to do that 2 or 3 times. He failed the other times, but he kept at it. Even after he succeeded, he kept at it again. Okay, and so what happened is Master Shurangama recounted the story. He was doing it, and for one day, Master Shurangama realized that something is wrong. When the master allowed him to practice in his temple, that's the unspoken commitment to protect him. So he realized that something is wrong, so he went to that room and saw the monk was running around very fast and reciting the Buddha's name. Okay, eyes all red, all excited. And Master Shurangama helped him, and later it stopped him. And later he explained that there's a demon, a bull demon, okay, who was appeared in the center of the room, where he had a rope, so he kept on walking around, hanging on the rope because they cannot sit down. They have to stand on their feet for 90 days. Okay, it's very grueling, very tough. And if you fall asleep, you touch the floor, start over again. Okay. So, and after all that, you reach first stage Arhat. Hina Yana. Okay. Why? Same thing. You practice on your own. Okay, these people don't know. That's why they have to resort to Hinayana practices. Okay, so Master Shurangama chased the demon, the bull demon away, a Toro demon away, and that's how the guy calmed down. And so he could have gone into demonic states. He would have been in trouble. So even though you recite the Buddha's name, you can get in big trouble as well. And that is what the Asians who practice Pure Land nowadays don't understand. If you practice properly, you will run into a lot of problems. Okay, that's expected. Doesn't matter which Dharma door. So the Vietnamese, the Chinese are telling themselves nowadays, don't meditate, do the Pure Land, and because you won't get in trouble. The reason they don't get in trouble because they're not making any progress. Demons come to help you make progress, okay, in our world. So anyway, so if you don't have a good known advisor, you will practice blindly by yourself. It's true. I myself practice blindly. Zigzagging like that tremor thing for the earthquake. What do you call that? I forgot. Seismic counter, whatever. Huh? It's like this every day. Whenever you have a good no advisor, it's like this. Straight like an arrow. Okay? Let's see what else he said. You will be confused and not know what you're doing, like that monk, okay? Who was confused by the demon. He was pretty good, he was doing very well, and the demon says, it's time to come and disorient him. This is what happens to all of us. Okay? And the story there, I'm glad that someone brought up the point. The story is that you draw near a good no advisor because he will protect you. Right there. That monk went to Master Shurangama's temple. That's drawing near a good no advisor. Practice there. That's why Master Shurangama was compelled to help him. It's a unspoken contract. You come to my temple, you will be protected. That's my job. As far as Master Shurangama is concerned, okay, that's our tradition. That's why if you have a temple and you cannot protect people, you should not have a temple. Okay, we have very high standards in Mahayana. Now, in this country, the Buddha Dharma came and is greatly thriving. I wouldn't call it greatly thriving. Buddha Dharma came, yes, thanks to Master Shurangama. I wouldn't call it greatly thriving. Thriving to me is when you say that the great Buddha Dharma is thriving. It's thriving when, like at the time of sixth patriarch. Okay? It's thriving because he has under him 22 eminent disciples. And after which, after he's done, 4 of them were recognized as 7th patriarchs. Not just one. They're so talented that 4 of them became patriarchs, that qualified to be patriarchs. And the other 20 disciples or 50 disciples were just very happy to relinquish the limelight to those 4 people, and they're doing their own things themselves. They said, well, let them be patriarchs. We have better things to do. Don't think that the Buddha Dharma after Master Huineng was done was only resting on the shoulders of 4 great patriarchs. No, there's a lot more. Otherwise, he would not bother training 20 to 50 eminent or very competent disciples, in my humble opinion. Okay? The world is only allowed to see 4 patriarchs, but he trained many more than that. Most likely high level than those 4 patriarchs, so that they can avoid the limelight, so that people don't bother them. Stay away from me. Okay? I have more important things to do. Go bother the patriarchs. Okay? So I wouldn't call that it's thriving at all. It's fantastic. He brought Mahayana to our country. We should be eternally grateful for that. But what he left behind, to me, can hardly be called a thriving Buddha Dharma. What do we have? California. Not even Southern California. If you want to draw near a good note advisor in Southern California, who do you call? See? I rest my case. You call it thriving Southern California? Okay. So you say, okay, what about Northern California? Question, who do you call? You call it thriving? I have higher standards than that. I'm sorry. I mean, my English is different from your Chinese English. Thriving to me is like everywhere. You know, like every street corners, every state. Yes? Every country. So far, so good? This is important to me. I mean, we are breaking new grounds here because this is no longer, respectfully, no longer Chinese standards. I'm sorry, I disagree with their standards. Okay? It's not thriving at all. Yes, it's fantastic. It has the first time we have true Buddha Dharma here in the U.S., but I hardly call it thriving. Okay? Everybody should understand the Buddha Dharma, know how to cultivate, don't blindly practice anymore, not recognizing true principles. It's true. Follow Guru advisor will take care of all these things. Yes? That's a Chinese wisdom right there. Did I say you all Buddhist fundamental talent? No, I respectfully disagree. They're not talented. Everybody should establish an aspiration. Okay, aspire. Okay, but fundamental talent? No, I wouldn't call it talent. Talent meaning what? I'm sorry, this is English. Can someone help me out? What does the word talent in English means? Huh? What's the connotation for talent? Yes, 8.
Well, talent would mean that somebody would have special skills.
Special skills, okay? What else? That's it? Is my English different from your English? I'm an immigrant. Pre-boat people, but still an immigrant. Yes, one.
Thank you, Master. Talent can have a wide spectrum. So it could be from special to extraordinary, but talent can encompass all of that.
So I always say all of you are Buddhism's fundamental talent.
Talent can also mean performers. So it could simply, in this case, and I don't know the Chinese, but talent would be the people appearing on stage, meaning you represent who is practicing Buddhism.
Let's keep it simple. Let's say you're a doctor. What makes you a talented doctor? Let's say, no, you're not a doctor. Let's say you're an architect. No, you're not an architect. Help me out. Somebody steps up and say, I'm a programmer or something. Don't let me name professions that none of you can do. Can have no talent.
Could I propose something, Master?
Please do.
Let's say you're a producer. We're in Los Angeles after all.
Okay, you're a producer. I don't know what that means. I see producers in, like Dune producer, Avengers producer.
Those are talented producers.
Okay, so why are they talented?
They're operating at a high level, getting paid lots of money, and receiving the adulation of their peers.
Okay. Right. Talented here, to me, when you say talent, there is a performance concept there. I'm talented because I can do things that others cannot. Yes? That's what it means to me when he says, oh, that person is a talented programmer. Yeah. Okay. Or that person is a talented civil engineer. Okay. A talented architect. Because they do things that are recognized as pretty talented. Yes? One.
So then, in my opinion, a talented, a talented Buddhist, a Chan practitioner in our temple would be someone who can sit full lotus for 11 and a half hours or more.
Call it talented? Are you kidding me? They're like a dime a dozen. If those you are not sitting 10 hours, man, you don't even, don't fast for 20 days. I'm kidding. Don't kill yourself.
You do set a high bar, Master. I mean, there's those of us on the JV basketball team, and then there's LeBron James. Like, LeBron James is clearly talented, so in my book, if you're able to sit 11 and a half hours or more casually.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. I would accept. When you talk about talent, I'm talking about, someone who's special. When the Master says Buddhism fundamental talent, I don't look at them as special at all. I'm sorry. Hinayana people, I don't call them special. Okay? Because Master Xinhua brought this vast knowledge, tremendous skills. What's left behind is you make your own decision. I know mine. Okay? Everybody should understand the Buddha Dharma, know how to cultivate and practice anymore, while not recognizing it through principles. Yes, as a fundamental knowledge. But I would not use talent. 人才 here is talent. Okay? Yeah. Okay, 人才 here is talent. That's correct translation. But talent to me has performance standards, has to deliver, okay, has been recognized, okay, by others. I'm not talking about any others. The ones that say, masters, the master Huineng, the 6th patriarch disciples, those 4 are talented. Okay? That we have to recognize. It doesn't matter who you are. Okay? But I don't call hiding behind the 4 walls talent. I don't call, shaking hands. Hello, how are you? And Mahayana. Talent? What have you done? How many sutras have you explained? How many people have you trained to become enlightened? That's talent, not words. Yes, one.
Thank you, Master. I think Michael Jordan is a generational talent. Tiger Woods is a generational talent. Now, sports is different than being a good knowing advisor, of course, but perhaps the problem's with the word itself, not with the meaning that you're suggesting.
All I'm pointing out to you is that if I sat there in that room and he says, you all are Buddhism's fundamental talent, I would stand up and leave. I don't want to be included because I don't measure up. My master is like this huge mountain casting a giant shadow on all of us. And for him to put the pressure on us like your fundamental talent, I don't want to be in that group. Okay? Too much pressure. What have you done? This is what ultimately is the final judge, not what you think, what I think, is what the sages, what the future generation look back and say, what have you done? What is your contribution? We gave you a PhD. Master Xinhua calls you fundamental talent, gave you a PhD. Now what is your contribution? Tell me. Go out and contribute. If not, then hide. Okay? because it's an embarrassment to the teacher. In the future, you can help Buddhism to cross over living beings. I disagree here. What do you think? Okay. The Asians like to say this. They say, I teach you Buddhism for you to cross over living beings. Okay? And what happens? They cross over none. That's a problem I see. They tell themselves, we are fundamental talents, we are, the disciples of the great teacher and so forth, okay? And so my question is, how many living beings did you cross over? His instruction is very clear. You have aspirations to be great monks and nuns, great Buddhist disciples, but then he says, you cross over living beings. How many have you crossed over? Huh? And I'm not talking about them, I'm talking about you as well. How many have you crossed over? How many people have you taught Chan so that, let's say, they reach first stage arhatship? Just to throw, a name, a level? Huh? That's not talking about crossing over living beings yet. Because you don't have enough wisdom to cross over living beings. Just teach them chant. Teach them chant. Teach them to recite the Buddha's name. Help them go to the Pure Land. He puts so much pressure on these people. And let all living beings leave suffering and attain bliss. That's the Mahayana standard line. I happen to disagree. It's too far-fetched. To the point where you talk like this, it's all talk. It's so cheap. Now all the Chinese monks and nuns talk like this. I'm doing this, I'm become a monk, live a home life, shave your head so that you can help Buddhism cross over living beings and then help living beings leave suffering and attain bliss. And my question is, how many of your disciples have reached second stage arhat? Huh? Your disciples is depressed. What are you doing for your disciple? He's threatened to kill his own family members. What are you doing? You're going to sit here, do nothing? And you call yourself Mahayana talent? So Mahayana talent is useless, isn't it? The masters, set these impossible standards that it's a two-edged sword. He says, maybe you're talented, fine, show me. You're not talented, then shut up. Turn yourself into a talent. Let's talk further. Okay? This is America. This is no longer China or Korea or Vietnam. We say, we all know about Buddhism. We all know we're supposed to save living beings, open and wisdom and so forth, and save living beings and help them leave suffering and attain bliss and so forth. That's a standard, corporate line for Mahayana, for Buddhism. But in America, in this 21st century, we are a lot more mercenaries. Okay? What's the adjective for mercenary?
Cutthroat.
Cutthroat, thank you, better mercenaries. We are a lot more practical. When you talk, don't talk until you delivered. That's the ethos of Mahayana. Shut up, do it, don't talk about it. Okay? So here, the great master says we should all save living beings and help them and so on and so forth. And to me, I'm terrified because I can't. Don't call me fundamental talent. It's too much. No one's going to believe us, okay? No one will believe you. If they say we are the next generation of Mahayana when your family members, okay, has some issues, we can't even help, and we take money from your family. Instead of them, let's say they have depression, they give us money hoping for help. We take the money and they're not getting any better. Shouldn't they be better off using that money, go find a therapist or someone, find medication, or or invest in research about depression and so forth? How can we take money? Where's our self-respect? Huh? So I beg to differ with Master Shen right here. I prefer to say we are not at a level we can save living beings yet. Okay? So let's become enlightened. And once you become enlightened, you can figure it out. Until then, it's a lot of talk. Questions, comments? Return to the origin, revert to the source, and attain one's original wisdom. This is what all the patriarchs say, okay, and that's fine. And this is the standard slogan for the Chan teachings. And that's fine. Return to origin, meaning go back to our original Buddha nature, revert to the source, okay? The source is our Buddha nature, okay? And obtain one original wisdom. This is the inherent Buddha wisdom we all have, and we can all come Buddhas together, okay? So this is the standard Chan teaching that he had to teach those people back then, okay? And to me, in all due respect, he oversold it a little bit. And the danger of overselling is that, number one, puts too much pressure on our generation, my generation, your generation. Number two is that these people, especially those who are not Americanized, they think they're special. In America, there's something called prize performance. Huh? We earn our places in society. Okay? We're there because we earn our place. You cannot just simply call ourselves great or so, or talented without delivering. And that's the ethos I would like us to have as far as Mahayana practitioner is concerned. Forget about saving living beings yet. Okay? Just help. Just help them. Help your family. You practice Chan. Are you in this practice? Naturally, you practice Chan properly. Eventually, you become a better husband, a better wife, a better son, a better daughter. Never mind about trying to save living beings yet. Can we help our families first? Huh? Can we help our office, our co-workers first? Can we help our boss first? To me, that's more real, more concrete than just saying I save living beings, because then People like him who's going to walk around, I'm going to try to save you, you know. I'm a fundamental Buddhist talent. I'm going to save you. I swear to God. No, very simple. I want to save my parents. Never mind about living beings. Can I save my mother? Can I save my son? And that's how you know you progress in the right direction. To say that, save living being is too far-fetched, it's too vague, it's too big. We can't measure ourselves against it. We measure ourselves against it, we are a failure. I'm a failure. Okay? All we can do is let's take care of our small part, our small sphere influence, our family, our community, our state, our half of the state, even. See if you can even do that. Huh? Instead of riding and running somewhere else and say, I'm Mahayana. Mahayana is personified in Master Shurangama's life. He worked so hard his entire life to help people. That's all. That's what we see. Okay? So, respectfully, all due respect, yes, this is the standard Chan teaching, but I submit to you that we should be having more concrete goals. I said, yes, eventually we do this, but for now, can we hone our skills and try to help in a very small scale? And that's how you know you're progressing in the right direction. And this, if you're able to help your family, your communities, that's a foundation for you. You're able to help yourself, okay? Your family, your friends, your relatives, that's a foundation for saving more. If you cannot even help your own family, how can you save anyone else? Okay? And this is what happened to the Chinese Buddhism. They all talk like this. They all say, I'm going to save living beings. I'm going to help them attain bliss and end suffering. My question to them is, how? What have you done? Venerable? Besides having a big temple, having, a lot of disciples, what have you done for them? In the sense that, like Master YongHua set the standards, his disciples are enlightened. Many of his disciples are enlightened. So, if we want to carry the mantle and say we're the second generation, third generation, then we should ask ourselves the same thing. How many of our disciples are enlightened? Let's talk turkey. Anyone? We're going to have Thanksgiving soon? What are we going to have for Thanksgiving dinner? I'm hungry already. For the people who are not fasting, those of you who are fasting, good, fast. I would never fast. This is the wrong time of the year to fast. I don't care, girls. You know, enlightenment will have to wait until after Thanksgiving. Yes, 5.
Vicky is making it. We're having pumpkin pie and
I'm sorry, Master, I don't have a lot of time, so I can't really do everything I'd like to do, but I'm going to be doing some American food or
it's only 50 of us here. It shouldn't be that hard.
I know it. Maybe I'll have some help.
Okay. Someday we're gonna have, what is it, Hong Shao Mian, huh? Hey, the real one. Okay, so we're gonna have Thanksgiving soon here, so that's why I look forward to it. And first things first, okay? And to me, I don't remind you, my only excuse is, I know you say I'm greedy for flavors and greedy for food, but my explanation, my justification is that it's a me either way. Okay, there's some of them who are fasting so that they're not greedy for food, but some of us who are greedy for food, so it's a me either way at the temple. Okay, thank you everyone. Sorry it took so long. Okay.